And it's showtime.
Showtime.
Welcome to the Elevating IT podcast and the weekly sales wrap. My name is Mike Brooks, and I'm joined not by Frank DiBenedetto today, but my co-host for the day, Dan Tomaszewski from Kaseya. Dan, welcome.
Thanks, Mike. Really excited to be here.
It's great to have you. I've been trying to get you on for a while. It's like booking, I mean, you're busy. You're a busy man, so it's hard to. It's tricky to book you.
We're here. I'm not sure I'm the Frank replacement, but I'll try to do a good job, Frank.
Yeah, that's you're great. You're great, and Frank does say hi, but this was the first time I did that little countdown thing. So I'm excited to see how it turned out. A little countdown timer to build the drama for my special guest today, and we've got now Dan's no nonsense podcaster here. We've got some sound effects, so we're going to be like I guess throw a comment in, and if we like your comment, we'll give you some positive sound effects. So if you give us a sound effect for a comment we like, Dan.
All right, we'll go with this.
I like that. So if you put a comment in, if you comment on the live show and we like it, we'll give you that. If we don't like it, here's what we're going to give you. I love it. That's awesome. Awesome stuff. So, all right. So Dan is here because Dan's just an awesome person. I've known Dan for a long time. Dan brings an interesting perspective to what we do here, right? Like, because we talk about sales, we talk about how to that's the goal of this show, is really to talk sales. And Dan is in sales, but he's also been in the MSP position, right? So Dan's been in MSP. He's been out there selling. He's been out there, doing the things that our listeners do every day. But now he works with MSPs through Kaseya, through powered services at Kaseya. And he's still out there helping MSPs every day sell. So you're on the other side of the desk.
Yeah, it's actually really fun. When you look at it, I tell people every day I get to wake up and work with over 7,000 MSPs, and you never know what that call is going to be. It's like being a firefighter or something. You never know what the call is going to be. When the bell rings, you go and you got to do it. It's like what we're doing now. So we got people in our program. It's called Goal Assist. They ring us up and they say, hey, look, we're going to a sales meeting today. We need some help talking about cybersecurity. And we go on their calls with them. Sometimes we're there as Kaseya or whatever business product it is. Or sometimes we're there as their MSP. Like, we're an extension of their team and we're just there kind of helping them through a coaching aspect. But, the customer assumes that we're there really as an extension of their team. And it's neat to see things that I was doing 4 or 5 years ago still work today. Haven't changed. It's still about relationships, getting to know them, having conversations, which I know audit's a big part of. Used audit when I was an MSP as well. And it's like starting that conversation and having it, building that relationship and getting into what the customer really wants to talk about still works. It hasn't changed. Like, right. There's new things, but it's a really cool role that we're in, and I'm really blessed every day to be able to do this and work with MSPs like that.
Yeah, and I wanted to have you on here, because number one, I love catching up with you, Dan. I always love talking to you, and you were one of our early clients. Funny story, like, we have if somebody goes to our website, and they will be either greeted with signing up for a free trial of our software, or they can check out a sample report. And the sample report that they get is from a company called Bulldog IT. And that is your old MSP. And we've been using that. You allowed us back in the day, probably this is going back 4 or 5 years, you allowed us to use your brand name. You created an audit for us to use. And we've been giving that away as kind of the here's what audit does for since then. So it's pretty neat that we're still using that. So I think about you every time, I'm responding to somebody, they'll get that, and then they'll send me a question, and I see the branding on it, and I was like, oh, it's Dan. So it's always great to catch up with you. Always great to talk to you. But I'm curious and intrigued by powered services and Goal Assist and what you do, because and I don't understand it completely. So that's why I wanted to have you on here and talk about it. I think it's really important. You guys help them to get an appointment. You help them to convert a customer. So you're really inserted in that sales process. And I wanted to get you to kind of give me an overview, educate me on this program.
Yeah. So to be clear, it's all around our products and services. So, we're not out there selling other people's products or services. So I'll use a couple examples. Let's say you've got rapid fire tools and you're trying to, rapid fire tools, and you're running the compliance manager aspects. So you got the compliance business going and you're trying to do compliance as a service. Our job is to help you package and price, help you, how can you put that into your current stack, your current offering, your current MSP offering? What does compliance as a service look like? And okay, let's figure that out. Now, how do we price it? Okay, we got the margins where they need to be. Now, how do we go to market? We've got the materials to do that. We've got the social campaigns. We've got some emails around that product and service to help you go to market. So when you take all of those different components and you think about Kaseya and all the business the business units we have, product lines, we cover compliance, backup, security, the three main pillars, of a MSP offering. So it is like a full suite of marketing materials, and it's a full suite of like go-to-market sessions that we can really help you go and be successful with all of our products and services in knowing how to message it to your customer. There's still tremendous value in the other peer groups and marketing groups and all the different associations that are out there, because they hit on a lot of the areas we don't hit on. We focus really in on our products, our services, how you can take those to market.
So you guys, really Kaseya, you need to be using at least one of the Kaseya tier of products, right? To be able to jump into powered services. So that's not for something if they're not a Kaseya customer, or is it?
It's not right now. There's been talks, but right now it's currently for the Kaseya customers. And when you say that, it's a long list, obviously, as you go down and you start. It's a lot of different stuff. And most of the time we find that MSPs have got at least one product, depending on if it's IT Glue or if you're in backup, it's Unitrends, or we just got the new Rocket Cyber, all those ID Agent. I mean, you start putting all those together, there's a lot of stuff that's underneath that umbrella. And you think about all those areas of the MSP, so many MSPs come to us. They're like, look, I can deliver the service. I'm technical. I know exactly what I'm doing. But you ask me to go out and start marketing it and speaking to people on like, how do I go out and start talking about compliance? Or how do I start to go out and talk about, that's where a lot of people are like not comfortable. And it's our job to make sure you're comfortable to whereas when you get out in that sales meeting and you get hit with an objection, you're able to overcome it. Or, when you're out at a sales meeting, what works when you go into a dentist office and what doesn't work? When you work with MSPs all around the globe, you hear the success story from Goal Assist after Goal Assist that we do, and we can build like a formula because we see it happening all around the world. So it allows us to give MSP those proper swim lanes to go into that, they don't have to go down a path that we know is going to get them nowhere, or you're going to face a lot of objections. Let's get you on the path where there's going to be the least amount of objections.
Right. I love it. I wish I thought of that. It's a great product. I know you were involved in creating this, and just great job with that, because it's brilliant. I think anything we can do that helps MSPs to take a little bit off their plate and help them to attract a prospect and to help them push that across the goal line, Goal Assist. I see what you did there. It's incredibly helpful. I'd love to pick your brain a little bit about because now you're out there, you have deep experience as an MSP in selling. So you did that for many, many years, but you're still working with MSPs. You're still on sales calls, helping these guys. And what are you seeing? Like, what are some of the challenges? I mean, let's start there. Let's start with what are some of the challenges that you're seeing these days that may be new, or things that people should be worried about?
I don't know if it's really a challenge or maybe it's an early on challenges, is everyone's still struggling with building a security stack. Everybody knows security is top of mind. They don't know how to put a stack together and then go out and position and price it to their customer base where the value is there. And I think people tend to be too worried about having a perfect stack versus having a version of for a first version. And we talked about that years ago, and it's still it's one of the number one things we're on is a go to market call, which is, hey, I've got this product, this product, this product, this product. I want to put them together. What's that price look like? And you kind of walk them through a normal, P&L type thing. Well, what's your cost? What margin do we want to have on it? What labor is involved with any of these products or services? Like, just kind of walk through like a normal, operation, guide for that product or service, and then help them get that to market in a way it's feasible. I think so. Building a cyber stack is probably one of the number one things that we deal with. The other one is compliance. We're seeing a lot of MSPs know they have to start doing compliance. They don't know what to do. They don't want, I mean, it's when you hear the word compliance, it can be scary for a lot of people. So seeing and understanding that has been a big thing for us. I mean, I would say now 40% of our calls are around compliance right now because it's popular. There are MSPs customers that are being told, if you're not compliant, we're not doing business with you. So their vendors are, the MSP's customers' vendors are saying like, hey, we have to be compliant. If you can't prove you're compliant, we can't do business with you. So now those customers are going to those MSPs and saying, hey, we've got to be NIST CSF compliant, or, we've got to have this because the insurance company is saying if we don't, our premiums are going up, or this is happening.
Right.
So we're starting to see a lot more noise in that spot. And for a lot of people, how do you go build a successful compliance practice? And that's not something that everybody has that knowledge of. We're grateful on our team. We've been working with customers since the compliance manager came out, and we have a really good understanding of it. But I can tell you that's one of the biggest hurdles or challenges that MSPs are facing is their customers calling them out of the blue and saying, hey, look, if I don't get this fixed, my vendor will not work with me anymore. And I need this customer. I need this relationship. How do we get this fixed?
Wow.
And preparing the MSP to go out there and be able to do that, that's probably one of the other biggest hurdles we're seeing right now.
Wow. And that's, I hear these, I actually was talking to a couple of MSPs a couple hours ago. They were talking about the difference, just bouncing ideas off of the idea of adding MSSP and trying to understand what MSSP is. Do you guide, is that part of that, guiding them through that process of, do they become an MSSP or do they have that level of service?
I think we talk about it. We don't necessarily, we're not like experts or coaches on MSSP to MSP type of thing. I think what we do is we level set and we give them the mindset of, do you want to be an MSSP? Do you want to take that extra layer on? Do you want to have to do all those different, security measures or offer these different services? Or would you rather partner with someone? Because there's lots of managed service providers out there that are selling to their peers that are MSSPs, and they can come in and assist and fill some of those voids as well. So we do have conversations. It's more around, what do you want to do? What's the maturity model of your MSP? What are the costs that you want to put into it? And that way we prep them in the best way.
Interesting. Yeah. And I'm a sales and marketing guy, so I was just kind of sitting back and listening to that conversation because that's out of my area of expertise. I'm not coaching anybody on whether you should add MSSP services, but what I was hearing just from a business perspective is, this is complex. And this is something that they should be thinking about, because you don't just like turn that on and start going out and selling it. At least it didn't sound like it to me, without really understanding how that's going to align with your business and how you're going to be able to ramp that up and support that.
Yeah, I think, Lean, look, it's some people take the determination of what an MSSP means. And there's some MSPs that are like, hey, look, we offer next gen antivirus. We're an MSSP. No, that's not really
Right.
what that means. Like, it's kind of taking it and making sure that you're giving your customers the appropriate message. So it's like, we do coach on that because the people are like, look, we've got this. We're an MSSP. We're like, no, don't market as that.
Right.
You need to market as here's the services you have. If you want to be an MSSP, then you need to either one, look at doing this or adding this, to really be able to hit that. So again, yes, it's making that proper business decision.
Yeah. The gentleman who brought it up, he was asking the right questions about it. He was like, listen, I've got, and I think he's going MSSP. So he was actually the gentleman who was answering the other gentleman. I don't want to mention any names, embarrass anybody. Not that it's embarrassing. He was saying, he's got his engineer over here who does the MSSP stuff. He's got his help desk guy over here who does the MSP stuff. And it's like, you can't have the MSSP employee dealing with the help desk questions and vice versa. It was just an interesting conversation, and to kind of sit in on that. Complex. What opportunities are you seeing? What are some positives? As we're coming out of COVID, where people are being vaccinated, economy, states are starting to open up, ease up on restrictions. Do you see what are you seeing out there in the field? Is it looking like businesses are coming back around? Are we looking at more recession? Are we looking at more? It depends on who you talk to. What you hear is different.
I mean, we're hearing most of our MSPs are growing and they're having, they're seeing a good growth. I think as we come out of COVID, the one thing I hope doesn't go away is the fact that, during the COVID times, people did quarterly business reviews or technical account reviews, whatever you want to classify it as. I call them QBRs. You can't get away from that. You've got to stay. And I think that COVID brought us to the point where we couldn't go out. So we were forced into doing Zoom and allowed us to focus on the business versus being in the business. And, some of the owners got the ability to go out and have good conversations, learn about their businesses more. I hope that doesn't go away because, we saw really good conversations happen during COVID and we saw some really good growth for a lot of MSPs. And if you look at it, it's because they were in their own office all the time. They couldn't go out and have that like squirrel, thing that was happening. It put you in a lane and you were able to do some really good things.
Right.
So I look at that as a massive opportunity. I think that it's something that, being able to execute what you were able to do virtually in person, I think is going to be even more effective. And I just think that needs that you got to continue to have those types of conversations and don't let the world start to consume you again.
Now, let me ask you about QBRs. You used to do, obviously you were, as we talked about, you were an audit user. Did you use audit for QBRs or did you do something else? Like I'd love to remind me your QBR process.
Yeah, so audit was really good because you could talk to people about, the red, yellow, green. And I think at the end of the day, red, yellow, green, it puts it in people's eyes and they can make a decision. They know red is bad, yellow is okay, I got some stuff to fix, and green means, hey, I'm doing a pretty decent job. So I think using audit, it's a very easy way to go in and have a good conversation. And I think that's what I've always said from day one, which is it gives you the ability to have a conversation. And that's the important thing. It doesn't mean red's bad and it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. It could be red's bad and we need to implement something. And look, it's going to be a couple $100s to do that, but this is not really optional. This is something that for us to maintain your network but it allowed that conversation to happen and they could see how it fit in the puzzle. And right. It brought things that were very technical to very easy terms. And you didn't have to go have a second degree for someone that doesn't understand technology. And I think that's the really important thing. I mean, you guys teach that from, using the tool. And I think we see that go across for all the MSPs is just making the data you have in front of you from no matter what tools you have, take that data and bring it to plain English and something they can understand and they can relate to, which is what you guys do really well.
Yeah, thank you for that. And wanted to I want to talk about that a little bit because, one of the things I consider myself like a paradigm shifter, helping people to have a paradigm shift in the technology world. The folks who run MSPs are for the most part, technically oriented. Now, there are some owners of MSPs who are more entrepreneurial and sales oriented. They're out there selling, and maybe they have technical folks do it. But for the most part, I would say 9 out of 10 MSPs I speak to, whether they're owners or they're out, they're out there in a selling or QBR position, are technical oriented. And there is really, they like talking about the technical stuff. And your clients and your prospects and they just want to know how it affects their business and what the hell it means. So I fight things like, when I'm not even talking about audit. I'm just talking about the idea in general of going out there and doing business reviews with your clients. You're obviously not going to do it for a client that's not paying you a certain amount of MRR, right? It's got to be worth it. But those clients that are, you should be talking to them every 3 months and really just touching base with them, going over the high level of what's happening, what they need. And what I hear a lot is, well, my clients are always too busy. They don't want to meet with me. They don't, they won't make appointments. They break appointments. And trying to get through to people and break those paradigms, get those paradigms shifted, that they're not meeting with you because you're too technical with them.
Yeah, you mean they know every time they meet with you, they're not going to understand half of what you're saying, and it doesn't have a business value to them in their role. And you got to go in with, if you're meeting with the CFO, then you probably want to bring things of how you're helping increase productivity and how you're helping decrease, budget spend, because you're maximizing different things. So like, know who your person is that you're talking to. I mean, you got to know the persona of the person you're working with. And if they're a financial person, then you're going to have to go in and have financial. If you're talking to the CEO, they probably want to dabble in a little bit of everything, but give it to them in plain English, to whereas they can immediately put it back into their business goals. I think it's one of the things that came out of COVID. As I heard a lot of people say, like, what is your business goal? Where does your business want to go in the next 2 years? And how can we help you get there? And I think you sit back and listen. You're going to hear the roadmap. You're going to hear what's going on. What do they maybe have planned? That's all potential growth for you, the MSP. And it's some of the light bulbs went off for people who are like, wow, if I ask that question, I'm actually going to know what the future is for this company. We're going to now be on the same page together, and we can be building a plan together to allow them to get to their goal. And they appreciate that. Maybe you're not in there talking about any win right this month, but in 6 months, they're looking at opening another office or hiring another 20 people remote or whatever it is. That, and you can go, okay, so we need to be prepared then, if I'm hearing you, to make sure that when your HR needs the hiring to have computers, to have things ready, we want to have this ready for you. And it's like, just having that conversation can really change what happens. But if you never ask the question, then how are you ever going to know?
Right. That's a tough skill to learn. How did you learn that yourself? I love asking people who are in the technical field. How did you train yourself? And did you come from, were you the super technical person at your company?
No, I wasn't technical at all. So that's my benefit to me, is I'm more of a sales and marketing type of person, a relationship person. And you have to know the technology well enough to be able to speak on it. And you have to be able to know how to position it and high level talk to your techs and different things like that. And that's, if you're that person, then you probably don't struggle very much with that. If you're the opposite, then that's probably where you struggle the most. And it's just learning some of those basic steps that can really be effective, when having those conversations. But I'll tell you what, listening to MSPs throughout this COVID that have been going in, asking that question, they're finding out that, hey, we're going to allow 75% of our people to stay remote moving forward. So we want to build a cloud infrastructure to support that. And we want to move away from on-prem. There's other ones that have gone out there, asked the same question, and they're like, hey, look, we're looking at hiring. We're going to start opening up in different spots, and compliance is going to be big. We're going to need the infrastructure to support this new product line we're going to launch. And next thing you know, they're out there planning. And I think that's the part that's, really key, is just getting out there, having that conversation.
Awesome. Well, Dan, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for filling in for Frank here. Maybe I'll fire Frank and have you fill in each week.
Right.
What do you think?
Oh, I can never replace Frank. Frank's a great guy.
He is. He's awesome. I miss him. He's got some things he had to do today and couldn't be here. So I do appreciate you coming on the last minute. How can people learn more about you and what you do and Kaseya and all that good stuff we talked about today?
Yeah, I think you can go. I mean, look, any business unit, any one of our products or services, if it's ID Agent, if it's IT Glue, just go to their website. You can see it. Every one of our products and services comes with powered services built in. So we're going to help enable you. We're going to help you no matter what with all of our Jumpstart kits. And we can definitely take it from there and show you the other things that we're capable of doing.
Cool. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you being here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in again, whether you're listening live or on the podcast recording. And, of course, till we meet again, keep on elevating IT.